Well, good day and good morning, everyone. So excited to have you here, ready to join us for this live show. We're going to be starting in just a few minutes, but I wanted to play a little music as we get ready and just making sure all the technology is working. While you're here, if you're watching, would you tell me what you think one of the myths might be that we're going to be talking about today? I would love to hear from you. Good to see you, Jen. Good to see you, Adam. This is definitely my signature sound, my signature sign off. And today, my signature sign on is with live music. So excited to see all of you joining today. We will be starting in just about 5 minutes. So I'm gonna play another song while we're waiting. And you'll have to forgive me on this one because I'm going to play all the right notes, but it's going to be fun. Well, welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I am very excited to have you join me here today for this live session that we're going to do all about common event myths and how we can bust them. So I will be your event buster. In the spirit of Ghostbusters, I really need a partner today, but my partner in crime wasn't able to make it. Try to find some others who are going to join us, but that's okay. So tell me in the chat, those of you who are watching, what do you think the number one common myth will be? Tell me in the chat. I should have put it in reverse order, but I actually don't have them ranked. So we're going to go through them and you're going to help me. If you're watching this live, I would love for you to help me rank these myths. Which one do you think is the most significant one? So we're going to go ahead and get started right now. Hey, everybody. Filmer Sean here with Unforgettable Experiences. Today, we are here to solve this problem. There are a lot of myths that run around, things that people have heard, or you've heard people say, things that people have told you are true about events, maybe conclusions that you've reached. Some of them might be true in certain circumstances, but universally they are not true. And so we're going to talk about them today. We're going to have some real talk about common myths that happen at events today. We're going to go through this presentation. Those of you who are watching live, I want you to tell me which ones are the most common so that we can rank them next time we do this presentation. So I'm really excited. Let us get this show on the road. And here we go. All right, myth number one, bigger is better. You know, those of us in America, we love things big. And if you live in Texas, you love things really big. And big isn't bad, but when it comes to events, bigger isn't necessarily better. You'll hear this. Hey, the more speakers, the more sessions we have, the better. The bigger the budget. That sounds like that would be a good thing. A bigger budget lets you do bigger things. But I will tell you this, that there are plenty of people who've told me just because you have a bigger budget doesn't make the show better. And then you think the more attendees, the better. Well, there is a trend today in events that smaller is better. And here is the truth. Less is more. Let's go back to this. So doesn't mean you only need 2 speakers, but you don't need 200 speakers necessarily. Depends on your event, but you don't need more speakers to make it better. You need the right speakers. And we're going to talk about that myth later. A bigger budget does help you do certain things, but a constraint of a limited budget can actually unlock creativity and allow you to do things that you didn't think possible. I talked to my friend Richard. He owns an event production company, and we were talking about all the crazy things people do when they've got $1 million to spend on production. He said 65% of the things that people spend money on don't really matter. And just because you have more attendees doesn't make it better. In fact, the introverts might stay home. So stick with this truth. Less is more. It's something in jazz. You've heard me play a lot of notes, but they always taught me in jazz. Less is more. Fewer notes is better. I just got through playing pickleball this morning. And when you're playing pickleball, you don't have to go for the big shot all the time. You just have to keep it going. So the same thing is true with events. So that is myth number one. The truth is less is more. All right. Myth number 2, networking is just going to happen naturally, meaning that if you just call it networking, then people will network. Well, here's the truth. Only about 25% of people are really comfortable networking. The rest of them are either introverted or somewhat introverted. They need support and they need help when it comes to networking. So the converse truth is that networking won't happen without intentionality. This is Rich. And Rich, if you go look him up on YouTube, he's got this crazy video, and I'll try to find the link for it because I'm blanking his last name right now, but he's got this video about how networking for introverts is very much like a Scottish dance. And there's this Scottish dance where 3 people are dancing together. And then one of the 2 people leaves the trio and goes and finds another trio, and a new person comes to join the trio. And it's this constantly changing dance that is taking place. And it's a profound thing, but if there's an intentionality to it. And when we design events where we hope that people will connect and network, we've got to do it with intentionality. Using the name is a signal. So if this is a networking break versus a break, that signals the brain it's for networking. But if you don't do anything to support it, it's not going to happen for those who don't feel comfortable. Those who feel shy, those who feel reserved are going to stick to themselves unless you make it easy for them. So that's truth number 2, that networking won't happen unless we are intentional. All right, here is myth number 3. online events aren't as effective as in-person events. That sounds reasonable. I mean, there is a lot of cool things that you can do when you're in person, and a lot of profound, there's a biochemical reason why we should be in person. So I'm not downplaying in-person events, but what this is trying to say is online events done the right way can still have a dramatic effect. I remember during the pandemic, I went to an event with John Berghoff, and he runs a company called Exchange Approach. And it was the most profound event I've ever been to. And it happened to be on Zoom. And he did it with such intentionality every step of the way that I felt totally engaged. And by the end of the first day, I was sharing some pretty deep stuff with guys in a group that I was in. And by the third day, I was showing up in a way that I didn't think possible. So this is John Chen, and he is all about creating engaging online events. And when we do it in an engaging way, the right way, where we engage the brain, we engage the heart, we engage the body, like people are present, they're making a choice to show up, we can see profound results. And it can rival, especially bad in-person events, but it can even rival good in-person events. It just requires intentionality. All right, myth number 4. Music is just an extra. It's just the fluff. It's the warm-up act like we just did. If you showed up early today, you saw me playing music. If you didn't, go back and watch the recording. I'm going to play some maybe a little bit later on. Well, the truth is that music isn't just an extra. In fact, think about it. If you had the wrong music playing at an event, it's going to undermine the event. And if they play just the right song as a speaker is coming on, or in the reflection time, I was at an event this week where a speaker wanted us to reflect and do this exercise, and someone jokingly started singing the Jeopardy song while we were trying to do some deep work. Guess what happened? Our brains were not engaged because we were thinking, oh no, I got to get it done. There's a contest happening right now. Wrong music produced the wrong result. Right music can produce amazing results. So if you have relevant music, here's the truth. If you have the relevant music, it'll set the stage for learning. It will increase engagement. It will build community. You see some pictures here, and I apologize, Todd Smith, your face is being covered by Remembrance. I forgot that would happen when I pulled these slides up. So Todd is the one who wrote and sang the song Brave Enough at Social Media Marketing World this year. And that's supposed to be a picture of him singing. Custom songs that are for a specific audience can engage them. It can become a theme. It can become an anthem. Jen Driscoll is watching here. And a couple of weeks ago, we were part of an event, and I helped start, and several people helped me finish a theme song that was kind of the anthem for that week. So having good music that's done on purpose can really enhance. Back to Rich, who I need to go look up his name, but who I talked about a little bit earlier. When he comes into a room, every song that is played building up to a session and the song that is played as he comes on stage are done with intentional purpose to create a little bit of agitation in his case, but to signal the brain, hey, this is comfortable, but it's a little bit uncomfortable too. It creates curiosity. Music can create curiosity. It can prepare the mind. Hey, something different is about to happen. Again, you're signaling something with the music. All right, so let's go to myth number 5. Any speaker will do if the topic is just the right topic. And that sounds like it might be true, but it's obviously a little bit extreme. But let's look at what the truth is. Having the wrong speaker will ruin, get this, will ruin your event, while having the right speaker can multiply your results. So it's not just about having the right topic. It's having the speaker who understands the audience, who's done their homework, who's prepared themselves or herself. They have the skills to be on stage to facilitate. Maybe your event is one that's really charged with some kind of political or emotional issue going on. You need a speaker who is able to lean into that and create the results. You need a speaker who gets the industry, who's going to create that connection, who's going to show up with the right kind of energy. When you do that, that speaker can transform your event. But not just any speaker can do that. Myth number 5, don't worry about your MCs. They don't make that much different. That doesn't sound very true, but if you watched how most events run themselves, that's an implicit understanding. It's an afterthought. I've been to multiple events where I was a speaker and they grabbed someone in the hallway and said, "Hey, would you go in and read this card?" And inevitably it goes something like this. So now Phil Mershon, by the way, my name is pronounced Mershon, but Phil Mershon is getting ready to come on stage, and Phil's the director of experience for Social Media Examiner. He's the author of the book Unforgettable. Would you please welcome to the stage? And then they hang their head and they walk away. That's like miserable for me and the audience. I want to grab a hook and I want to pull that person off and comfort them and say, "I'm sorry you got put in that awkward situation. Let me introduce myself." That would have been better. But here's what a great MC can do for you. And by the way, Chad is wearing boxer shorts. That is just the craziest picture. That's Chad Peterson. Leslie Samuel. I was yesterday was at an event with Social Media Day Wichita, and Andy and Mandy were the camp counselors and they were the MCs. And then you've got Ramon Ray on the bottom right. All of them bring energy, but they're different kinds of energy. So they're content weavers. They're content storytellers. They tell great stories. If there's a snafu, like, hey, the slides aren't quite ready for the next speaker or something's wrong, they step on stage and they cover that blank spot and they fill it with something interesting. They're ready for it. They know something's going to happen. They're ready. They create high levels of engagement and they can create connection for the people in the audience. It is worth having great MCs, at least on your keynote stage. But I would recommend having trained professional MCs in every room at your event, because they will take your ordinary event and make it extraordinary. It is worth the expense. Myth number 7, it's impossible to measure the ROI of an event. And that's certainly something that event organizers and planners have struggled with for a long time. How do we know if this thing is making a difference or not? Now, it may be hard to measure the financial ROI of every little thing we do. Like, how do you know the ROI of having an MC? That might be difficult to know to isolate that one little thing and say, does it make that much difference? So there's some things though that you can do. Here's the truth. You can measure what you plan to measure for. Okay. So that's the key. You can measure what you plan to measure for. So you need to define, what does success look like? How will I know that hiring an MC was worth the expense? Define what you expect to happen as a result of it. What can you figure out? Where can you learn? So it might be in net promoter scores. It might be like in your post-event surveys, that the sentiment people have, and you can ask a question about the MCs and you can look for feedback that comes in. You can also just get that subjective feedback that might be as good as you can get. But hopefully you're finding out that you can measure something. So if you define the KPIs and say, look, we care about retention. We need to retain customers. We want to see that change from this year to next year, or last year to this year. We expect to see that rise by 20%. The conversion rates, when people are coming to your website, for example, what's the conversion rate going to be? What's a good conversion rate? What's the industry standard? What do you hope to build toward? Now you've got something that you can measure. Again, sentiment, net promoter score, speaker scores is something. And then don't underestimate the value of a smile. Like, walk around and see how many smiles you see. That's not something you can necessarily count, but it's something that you can feel, and people notice it. Let me tell you a quick story. In 2023, when people were leaving social media marketing world, there was a general sentiment that we're not sure we're coming back. We're not sure. There's something missing. There were comments about the content and there were comments about the energy. And so we made a very determined focus to change both of those things. We fixed in our minds what they were saying about the content, and then we focused on the energy that was created by the staff and the event overall. In 2024, both of those were the top things people commented on. We had the highest ratings on speaker scores, and people were signing up in record numbers. Okay, record retention rate of every event except for year one, which that one doesn't quite count because there's nothing to compare to, right? So these things can be measured and noticed, and I recommend that you do so. Myth number 8, content is king and interaction is optional. Now, Mari Smith would kill me for saying that because she says engagement is queen. But there are people out there who like, hey, it's just about the content. People are buying the content. That is true. Okay. When people are making a purchase of your event, they're making their judgment based on the content. They aren't making it based on the engagement or the community, usually. Not year one. Year two, they're coming back because it felt like summer camp, because it felt like a family reunion, because this is their tribe, their community. They want to be there. They want to be around the experts. But year one, it's usually the content. So content is king. But what we're debating here is interaction. How optional is it? Well, here's the truth, in my opinion. Engagement moves learning from passive to active, and it creates ownership. So when people are participating during the session, like you're seeing take place in this picture here, they're raising their hands, they're giving you feedback, they're turning and talking, they're doing the exercises. If you give them an exercise and they do it, that's positive. I was at a session yesterday where the speaker asked for participants, and she was willing to give away a free hour of her time to someone who was willing to raise their hand and participate, and no one was doing it. I don't know if we were all disengaged and like multitasking, or if what she asked was too hard. I was multitasking, so I'm not sure what it was about the task, but no one was participating. That's awful. So you want engagement, and you train engagement before an event happens. Just like in a live video where you get people talking before it starts, during a session, you get people participating. That's going to move them from just passively listening. I know all of you who are watching right now are probably doing 3 things while you're watching this. So what you try to do is get them to participate. So go ahead and tell me right now, those of you who are watching right now, what do you think about the 8 myths that I've shared right now? Which one do you think is the biggest deal? Go ahead and tell me real quick, and I'm going to move on to myth number 9. So myth number 9, post-event engagement isn't necessary. You know, the event ends when the last keynote ends, and that's all you need to worry about, is kind of the sentiment here. That doesn't sound right, but it's what we do. Okay. So this isn't necessarily something we believe, but it is a myth that we believe based on our actions. Most events don't do a great job, and I am in part of that tribe. It's hard. And it's hard because we are wiped out when the event ends. So it's not that we don't want to continue engaging people. It's because, gosh, I'm just so worn out, and I'm ready to just put a bow on this and move on to the next project. But I would say the truth is this: last impressions last. What do people remember? They remember peak experiences and last experiences, and sometimes first experiences. First experiences set the tone, but it's not necessarily what people remember. What they remember are those peak experiences and the last experiences that they have. So focus on that last experience as people are finishing and leaving the event. But then also, results start with implementation, right? So if people have 3 things that they said they're going to do after your event, and then they don't actually have a plan for doing it, or they don't feel the support for doing it, most people won't. Some percent of people, probably less than 10, are going to take action because they're just self-starters. And if they say they're going to do it, they're going to do it. Most people need some level of support. So if you've got a community, Facebook group, circle, whatever, that you have set up for the event, it can start there. Help them. Give them some accountability. Provide reason for them to stay engaged for at least 3 to 4 weeks after the event. Your responsibility may not continue post-event in terms of what they paid for, but if you want them coming back and you want to see them have a change in their life, then keep it going. All right, myth number 10. Business events should only be serious and professional. Now, if you're an engineering event, it's going to feel different than an accounting event, than a marketing event, than an event for creatives, than an event for whoever, right? So what does serious and professional mean? What does fun mean is going to look different. But let me just tell you, it is possible at a serious business event to have fun. Here's 2 MCs who are coming together as Buzz and Woody, and they are setting the stage for a keynote session that is out of this world, to infinity and beyond. So What happens when we allow ourselves to have a little bit of fun, to enjoy ourselves, to laugh, to smile, to even cry, feel the feels, right? When we have fun and drop our defenses and become open, we can become open to new ideas, to new relationships, to new possibilities. So it's good to have fun. Do we want the balance to be on fun? Like if you're weighing the event? Of course not. People didn't pay for the fun, but they want to have fun. So on the website for Social Media Marketing World, it says content, what does it say? Discovery, networking, and fun. Okay. Discovery is content, learning, networking, making connections, getting leads, all that. And then fun. When we ask people, what is your number one priority when you're coming to the event? Which one of those do you think is number one? It's the content, the discovery. Which one's number two? The networking. And by a long shot, fun is number three. Like it's less than 5% of the people that are coming first for the fun. And of course, they can't tell their boss, I'm only going for the parties and the booze. That would be awful, right? I'm going to San Diego because I can go to Tijuana. I can go learn to surf. If they come home and talk about that, they're not going to be allowed to go on the next trip. They might not even keep their job. But while they're there, they want to enjoy themselves. They want to do things that they can't do at home. And they want to laugh when it's a good time to laugh. They want those endorphin rushes that come through the connections that happen through doing things that are enjoyable, pleasurable. And even when we get ourselves into a place of feeling deep emotion, it makes us more open to discovery. So those are the 10 myths that I have for you. I would love for you to tell me which one resonates with you the most. My name is Phil Mershon. You can reach me on all the socials. There is my email and my website. If you want a bonus chapter, the chapter that I didn't put into my book on Unforgettable, it's all about community, and you can get that. And all I ask for is your email and the opportunity to share some ideas and thoughts that I have over the coming weeks and months. So thank you for watching today. I'm going to stick around now, and we're going to have some Q&A with anybody who has questions that they want to drop into the chat. And before we do that, let me leave you with one final song. My signature sign off is when I sign off a session that I'm doing, I play a response to what I've felt during this and some words that I have. And so if you've got a couple words that you're watching this and you've got a word that stands out to you that happened during this session that it's going to stick with you, go ahead and drop that in the chat. I would love to hear from you. I also have a couple in my mind. One of them is energy. Another one is possibility. And one of them is emotion, like feel the feels. So that's where I'm going to start. But if I see a word pop into the chat, I will incorporate it into what I'm going to play. And then we'll have a little bit of Q&A. right. Thank you guys for watching. If you've got some questions, please drop them in the chat. I'm not sure. I'm going to go check on some of the other platforms to see if questions are being asked there, because it doesn't feel like they're all feeding here into StreamYard where I'm managing this. So I'm going to just do that real quick and see if there's any questions or comments that have been happening while we've been going today. So let's see. Doesn't look like it on LinkedIn. And on Facebook. Yeah, not seeing any. So looks like at this point, we're going to bring it to a close. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And I will look forward to connecting with you next week when we have another live interview. Have a great day.